The good news, that's a term I've heard my entire life, and I've never really stopped to think what that means, both in today's context, but also at the time that Jesus was born, lived, and then was crucified. So I kind of get it better now after reading a lot of the Old Testament. And I talked about this a little bit in a video I made the other day. But today, when I say, hey, I want to share the good news with somebody, that's saying that I want to share Jesus' story and what that means for us and why it's so great. And it is good news. But back during Jesus' time, the people that lived and were the first ones to share the good news, they didn't have the terminology of saying, hey, this is the New Testament. The New Testament wasn't even written yet. So what were they doing? They were going around saying, hey, I've got some really good news for you. And the people are like, well, what's the good news? Well, here's what it is. The good news is that everything up to that point, when it came to salvation and being able to spend eternity with God, it required a lot of work. You had to pay a price in order to find salvation. You had to repent for your sin. You had to avoid sin as much as you can, which is still true today. Both of those things are still true. But the difference is you had to pay your own price for that sin. You had to pay the cost. If it wasn't going to be through you, it was through a sacrifice of an animal or some other means. If you read through the New Testament, there's a bunch of different sacrifices. Read through Leviticus and Numbers. I'm in there now. It's a lot. But the point being that you didn't have to live in fear of God anymore. We still need to fear God, but we didn't have to live in fear of God, if that makes sense. We can talk about that later. But all this work you had to put in, I mean, how much time in your day was dedicated to making up for the sin in your life? And now the good news is like, hey, everybody, come here. I have something really important to tell you. Stop everything you're doing. You don't need to go gather those bulls and those sheep and gathering the flour and oil and blah, 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 blah. We don't have to do that anymore. The price has already been paid. This frees up so much of our time to live our way that is going to be as Christ-like as possible. Instead of having to live in a way to constantly be trying to claw back at our salvation, the salvation's here. We already have it. So that's really good news. So go out there and do God's work. You don't have to worry about all these other things anymore. All you have to worry about is being the best person you can be by following Jesus's example. And if you mess up, the good news is that the price has already been paid. So I don't know if you guys have already thought about the good news that way. It just kind of hit me the other day, and I just want to share my thoughts. So go ahead and share the good news.